How do you feel things went in there today?
Well, we're very early in the game as far as the court proceedings go. This morning, what was called the first appearance. If you were in the courtroom, you were able to see that the judge advises the defendant of all the charges that he's been charged with, what the possible penalties are, which we are seeking natural life in prison. He was appointed an attorney this morning, a public defender here in Randolph County, James Kelly. And then we set what's called a preliminary hearing. The next stage of this case, as far as the courtroom goes, will be the preliminary hearing, which will be held on June 3rd. What a preliminary hearing is, for those of you that don't know, is it's what's called a probable cause hearing. At that hearing, that we have the burden to show that there is what's called some evidence or probable cause to continue to hold the defendant for trial. As far as the trial goes, certainly there's no telling when that could take place. Because he is being held without bond, he would have the absolute right to be tried within 120 days of his arrest pursuant to Illinois law.
And in the past 3 days since this happened, what evidence have you guys collected?
We have collected a lot of evidence. I do not want to get into the specifics. I hope people understand that we're not trying to be evasive. I know I alerted to this on Friday. We're not trying to hide anything from the public, but right now my only concern is to make sure that justice, whatever sort of justice we can give to this family, which will never get these kids back, we'll never be able to punish this guy enough for what he did, but the attention of this now goes to the courtroom, and we are bound by Illinois Supreme Court rules, we are bound by fair trial laws, and we do not want to do anything to jeopardize this guy not getting natural life in prison.
Tell us about the charges against him and your decision to seek these charges.
Well, certainly we don't file charges of this nature lightly. We certainly feel that we have more than enough evidence to convict this person. The state police and the Randolph County Sheriff's Office, there were 2 deputies on the scene right away Friday night, early Friday morning, I should say, and this thing moved fast. We were able to get our suspect in the custody right away. We've collected a lot of evidence. We still have an active crime scene over in Percy today. We're still collecting more evidence today from the house, or we hope to. And we've got lots of witness statements. We feel that we're in a really good case from a prosecution standpoint, but I don't want to elaborate on the specifics.
Was there a relationship between Twardoski and the family?
We believe to some degree that there was a relationship, but all of that will play out in court.
What was he wearing? Was that a suicide vest he was wearing?
He was dressed out in what we call a suicide smock. I don't believe, the jail would probably be the better person to ask on that, but I know from defending, I used to be the public defender in Randolph County. Whenever somebody was brought in on a very serious charge, the jail always erred on the side of caution. Let's make sure to not give anybody anything to hurt themselves whenever they're facing something like this. So yes, he was wearing what we call a suicide smock.
What was he saying about talking to his wife on the phone today?
I know, but I don't want to elaborate on that.
Something he did say is that I don't understand most of what's going on. What would you take that to mean?
I have my theories, but I don't want to get into them.
You said Twardoski lived a transient lifestyle. Do you guys know a little bit more of his history?
We do, but I don't want to elaborate on that. We always get what we call an NCIC or leads report, where we can tell where somebody's been arrested, we can tell where somebody's been convicted of something, plus his own statements and where there's family members. We believe that he does not have, I think, a transient lifestyle.
Have you prosecuted him before?
In this county, we have not.
Do you know where he lives?
We do. Right now he lives at the jail. I'm not trying to be a smart aleck. But where he lived before now, we do know where he lived, but I don't want to get into that. I think that'll be a crucial part of the case.
And as far as the other counties he maybe has lived in, what about a criminal history there?
It doesn't appear that it was a significant criminal history. He just had some brushes with the law.
Do you know where he was employed? Was he employed?
It's my understanding that he was employed to some degree.
In Percy?
I honestly don't know the answer to that question.
Can you just describe his emotional state? He had a white bandage around his wrist. He was crying. Talk about that.
He's looking at some very serious charges. I can't jump into his shoes.
Do you know the relationship, the 18-year-old that was in the house? Do you know anything about the relationship? How related?
She was related to the family, but not a
niece,
child.
cousin, aunt, uncle, what?
Something along those lines. I don't want to specifically elaborate, but she had a very good reason to be there.
Have you spoken with family?
At this point, we have not. We're trying to give the family as much respect at this point that we can. They've obviously been through a traumatic event. I know the visitation is going to be tonight, and I would ask everybody to please try to back off that and give these people some respect. Let them bury their kids tomorrow. And then it's my understanding we're going to make contact with the family. The investigators have, but I have not, and we're going to try to make something. We're going to try to get something later this week with them.
Something that neighbors who knew him have told us is that he has a drug history. Have you guys found that, or was he drug tested once he was taken to the jail? If so, have you found anything?
That would not be normal protocol. We don't normally drug test people when they're brought in.
Can you talk about the threats that he was heard making in the community?
That will all play out in the course of the case.
You said on Friday you had more than 35 leads at that point. Are you guys still going all over Perry and Randolph County looking?
We are indeed. After I left here Friday, I went back over to Percy where we had a command center set up with the state police, and at that point our leads had already jumped up to over 60. So we are still very much investigating this. I know I was getting phone calls and talking with the sheriff's office over the weekend. It's still very much an active ongoing investigation, and we implore people. It appears that a very big part of our case is going to be the Good Samaritans or the good people that overheard this gentleman perhaps elaborating on his intentions, and we ask anybody that has anything to that effect to please come forward.
When was the last time you had a first-degree murder case that the state's attorney's office handled?
Well, we have a building about 300 yards down the road here called the Menard Correctional Center, and we've had 3 of those this year already, where we've had 3 convicts. The last murder in this county before that was in 2007, and I actually defended the guy. I was a public defender at the time. I just became state's attorney back in December.
And anything close to this magnitude of crime?
Not that I know. People have asked me that all weekend, and certainly not that I know of. This is a horrible tragedy, and we're not used to that in this county.
Thank
Okay.
you, sir.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you all very
Appreciate
much.